Welcome to Talking with Greenhills on Waycross Community Media. Today we have several people in our studio so that we can catch up on a couple topics in the village. And the first thing we're going to do is meet a brand new officer in Greenhills. And Sergeant Holbrook, will you introduce to us the latest addition to the Greenhills Village Police?
Of course I will. So this is Officer Anna Hall. She started with us on November 21st. She was sworn in at the council meeting on the 22nd, the day thereafter. And I'm just going to let her speak for herself.
Officer Hall, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you being here in the studio. And let me ask you, what made you look at the Village of Greenhills as a place to go?
I think overall it was just the tight-knit community, just how small, the kind of like the hometown feel. It just feels right rather than a big department where no one knows everybody or, you're walking around and everybody's waving at you. I mean, that's, I think, initially what drew me here.
Now, you looked at a lot of different candidates for this position. What made you select Officer Hall as a match?
Well, it's a panel that we put together. We have me, I'm the police chief, the lieutenant, and a sergeant and a corporal sitting on the panel. So it's a community decision based on what we all like or dislike in a candidate. We liked her the very best. So we interviewed very, very good candidates. Most of them were hireable. But we liked Anna for a lot of her reasons. She was very articulate. She had good common sense answers. We put forth some pretty hard scenarios that are tough ones to figure out. And she shined in making those instant decisions. And I do have to tell you, she and I have something in common. We both spent a little time up north of here at the Hamilton, Ohio Police Department. And what I can tell you about the difference between Hamilton and Greenhills, having spent a number of years in both police departments, is that Hamilton is pretty much call to call to call. There's a shooting or a stabbing or there's something going on that is, there's a lot of crime. And the Hamilton Police Department does an excellent job of handling that crime. But you're very, very busy going from call to call. Greenhills is pretty much the opposite. We have maybe 6 or 7 calls a day, maybe 7 or 8 offenses in a month, which is probably about 5 minutes in Hamilton. So there's a big difference in how we handle things. We're able to actually get a lot closer with the community. And as a result, the community has rewarded us greatly. I've never seen a community that responds to a police department like they do in Greenhills. Just last week, I got a donation from an anonymous citizen that wants us to use that money to help our citizens. So we do that on a regular basis. And one of the things that really made me feel good was that Anna told us that she had picked up on that we were a very community-oriented agency, which of course we are.
It's really nice to know that not only are you finding candidates looking for that, but that also your department is known for that. That people outside the department are coming and seeing that about who you are, that you're building connections with your community and you're not just, like you said, going call to call to call.
It tells me that we've gotten that right message out. And maybe to switch over to Carl, I remember Carl told us something like that when he was hired. So I do think that the message is out there that we are that kind of a police department. And I think we've done some things right, but overwhelmingly, it's our citizens of Greenhills. They're just great, and they have responded to many things. One of those is, I know we're going to talk about a little later, but is our Citizens Police Academy, where we can really show people some behind-the-scenes look at what we do and how we do it. It's kind of like your industry. There's a little magic behind the scenes, and there's things that most people don't know about, and we're able to share that. Once we did that, Dana, we've actually had the Alumni Association come back and they said, hey, would you put together a Christmas dinner for all of us to get back together, because we like to hang out together. We have festivals, as you well know, because you cover them in Greenhills, and our volunteers from our Citizens Police Academy alumni are right there with us. Jim Hadley, who's just been a great Academy alumni, I always give him the keys to the cruiser during Harvest Fest because he loves loading the kids up in and out of the cruiser so they can play with the blue lights and siren. Gets a little loud in our corner of Harvest Fest, but everybody has a good time.
So, Officer Hall, are there things that you want the residents of Greenhills to know about you? They're going to meet you walking around the neighborhoods?
I would just say that, I'm here to serve you guys and make you guys proud. just doing my part to help out the community and be there for every single one of you.
What I think I want to talk about next is, you already alluded to it. This community connection, in one way that community connection shows up in Greenhills is with the Citizens Police Academy. And let's start by talking a little bit about the history of it. When did you start this?
Well, we started it probably 5 or 6 years ago, and we've had 3 classes so far. We are looking to put together our 4th class, and we'll probably start that up after the holidays, sometime around January or February. And we will be open and sensitive to the schedule of those who sign up. So we will tailor that session to when people are available and whether they want 3, 4, or 5 sessions. In the past, we've gone 5 sessions. That's a pretty big time commitment because we did it once a week, and it was about 2 hours a session. But we cover such interesting topics. We have such talent in the Greenhills Police Department. One of those is a corporal that we have by the name of Mike Mathis. And some of your viewers that are from Springdale will remember him as Chief Mike Mathis because he served as the chief of police in Springdale for many years. But he and I have known each other for years, and he always told me the one job I really enjoyed was being an investigator. Loved being a detective. So when he retired from Springdale, we grabbed him, and he works with us part-time as an investigator. He competently handles all of our really serious cases. But what he'll do at the Citizens Police Academy is tell you how it's done, because most people don't understand how we do DNA or how fingerprinting actually works. Mike actually put together a class for some kids that were at the library for the summer. He did fingerprinting, and guess what he used as latent powder? Hot chocolate mix. Works great.
Brilliant.
So anyway, he will tell a lot of these secrets. We have some very interesting cases going on now that he probably won't get into the details of those, but he'll get into some of the closed cases about how we figure things out. And it's a lot like TV, only we don't solve cases in 55 minutes or less without commercials. But it does all come together, and he has some interesting stories to tell. Carl has been a police officer for a number of years now and has some things that he would share on patrol techniques and all of our weapons. I mean, it's really fascinating, some of the things that we have. And we don't have weapons for bad reasons. We have them to stop bad people. And we have to very carefully select which of those we're going to use. Then when people go through our police academy, we take them to one of the police academies. We let them actually fire in the firearm simulator. So we find out what kind of shot that you are, and you have to make split-second decisions as to whether or not this is a good guy or a bad guy and you're going to shoot or don't shoot. Well, if that isn't scary enough, then we let you drive a simulated cruiser, and we do pursuit driving. And that's always a lot of fun, and we've had many of our folks that say, gee, I'd like to do that again. So we're going to do some really fun things in the academy, and it's at a pretty reasonable cost. It's free to Greenhills residents. So we actually had one of our alumni come up to me, and at the first one, I had charged them because we put them in a Greenhills Citizens Police Academy polo, and I charged them what they cost us. And he came and laid down a $1,000 check on my desk, and he said, I don't want anybody ever to have to pay for that again. So it's all free, courtesy of our generous citizens.
Now, what ages do you find residents decide to try this out?
Typically, they have been adults. I think it's shifted more towards retired adults, but we're game for teens. In fact, that's one of the things we have tried to get started. In both of these academies, the one I'm about to tell you about, the Teen Academy and the Citizens Police Academy, were stalled by COVID. So that's why we haven't had them for a little while. But we would like to put together an academy just for teens, but they also are welcome to attend this one. We're open to show anybody what we're all about because, police departments, when you watch the TV news, sometimes we come across as a little scary. We're really not. We're moms and dads and sisters and brothers like anybody else. We want to go home at the end of the day, and we don't want to hurt anybody, but we don't want to get hurt either. So it's a way to see how we make all that work. And honestly, it's probably one of the most complicated jobs, and I commend both of these two for stepping into policing in the 21st century because it's not as easy as it used to be. But I think we do a pretty good job, and having commanded the Hamilton Police Department for 14 years, I can tell you that our officers are second to none. The training that we get, Lieutenant Ann Ward puts all that together, and the experiences that we have here, even though our calls aren't as frequent, we really give it our best shot. We solve a lot of crimes because we have the time to do that.
And you work in partnership with a lot of the other police departments in the area as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we have great friends in Springfield Township and in Forest Park. And Carl, maybe you can explain how some of that mutual aid actually works. I was surprised when I got here to find out we spend as much time helping them as they do helping us.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, really. I've worked in 3 different counties in my time in law enforcement. The mutual aid agreement here in Hamilton County it's the best. Essentially, if for any reason we're all tied up in Greenhills and we're on serious calls and something comes out, well, guess what? Forest Park can come and they can handle that for us. Or Springfield Township could come. Even the park rangers, they border us and they help us a lot. But it's vice versa. It's the same way. If Forest Park's tied up, we go and help them on their calls. We're all out here helping each other and making sure everyone's safe. And just the fact that we work so well together and we all have that trust within each other and each department, it's just a great thing.
I like talking about that because I don't think citizens realize they're residents of a village of Greenhills, and they know they have this great department, hopefully, because we keep telling you. And but I don't know that they realize that they also really have the resources of all the areas around them, because you have that. And like you said, you are helping them as often as they are helping you.
Yes.
It's something that we talked a little bit about last week. We've talked about before. I have not seen departments that have so many training programs constantly in place. Other departments have come to look at how you handle situations that some folks might be inclined to think, oh, it's a small village department, and they would have no idea all of the work. Like you said, the magic behind the scenes. There's a lot
Let
of
me
that.
give you an example of how that all works. For example, active shooters is a big topic right now. We actually recently had what turned out to be a false call of an active shooter, and the caller was very vague, and it turned out to be a rogue call. And if we have the opportunity to press charges against that person, we most certainly will. However, we had police scrambling to both Winton Woods campuses, the one in Green Hills and the one in Forest Park, to make sure that everyone was safe, which they were. But the neat thing is that we all train together. So Forest Park Police and Green Hills Police, we're all on the same page because we have done our active shooter training in conjunction with each other. Our policies mirror each other's. And speaking of policies, there's a nice little thing that many people probably don't know. The Green Hills Police Department has been accredited by the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies since 2007. So what that means is we have the equivalent of bank examiners that come in to our house every 3 years, and they do what would be a bank's white glove inspection. This is not a good old boys network, and it's not, we're here, just to say you're okay. They really hold our feet to the fire. Everything has to be just so. And our partners to the north and south, Springfield Township has been accredited for a number of years, and Chief Arns, who is the current Forest Park Police Chief, was very impressed with that process. When he became chief, he decided we're going to do this too. Lieutenant Jim Ward is their accreditation manager, and just by coincidence, Lieutenant Ann Ward, they kind of know each other, is our accreditation manager. So we work very closely on our policy development. So there's not a whole lot of difference in how the departments operate, and it really is the gold standard in our profession.
That kind of makes me think of the Citizens Police Academy again, and because one thing I was struck by what you were talking about in the investigation and learning all of that process is, yeah, there is a TV version that we see that is questionably not very accurate, and or a whole lot faster than real life, if nothing else.
It's entertainment.
And it's entertainment, exactly. But getting to come to Police Academy gives you the chance to really see, okay, but let's talk to real people and how it's really done and the real steps. And I feel like this is another aspect of those TV versions. In TV police dramas, there's always a clash between the different departments because they don't work well together, and that's part of the drama. We don't see that because you're training together And
Exactly.
you can seamlessly go into these kind of scenarios that we hope don't happen. But they do happen, and the fact that you are working together means that you've trained together. It's something we've talked to the Coleraine Police Department about this. We've talked to fire departments about the same kind of scenarios, that a lot of the communities are combining and training and making sure that they can seamlessly work together on a scene, not
And
like the
it
drama.
financially makes sense. But,
Yeah.
Getting back to the police academy, I was thinking while you were talking, one of the fun things, and we've done feedback analysis afterwards to see what people like and what they didn't like as much. One of the things they really liked was the last academy, we started doing scenarios. And we started portraying the bad guys. We would dress up as the bad guys in the academy. Sergeant Patton should get an Academy Award. He played a deranged shooter, and he was really good at what he did. And then our academy participants are assigned to be the police officers. So they have to see what we do to try and bring a situation to a peaceable end. We had one of our volunteers who was an academy alumni from an earlier academy. He portrayed a resident with dementia. And he had this, and of course he was sharp as a tack, although he's an older gentleman. He was in his 80s at the time, and he's 90 now. But at any rate, he had it all figured out to the point he had a little notebook in his pocket. And if you ask him the right questions, he would get out the notebook and it had his name and address in it, even though he couldn't answer the acting officer's questions. So, I mean, our citizens put so much time and thought into this. We had such a great time doing a lot of these exercises. So I can promise anyone that's interested, they'll have the time of their lives. They'll learn a lot. It's all free. We have a big celebration at the end where everybody brings a little bit of food, and we have a great celebration and everybody gets their certificates. But we have as much fun doing it as our participants do.
What do you hope participants take out of it afterwards?
Well, what I hope for is always a better understanding of the police. I don't know if you've ever been stopped and you ever had blue lights turned on behind you, but even us, if it happens to us, we all get that pretty tight feeling in our stomach because it's scary and you don't know what to expect. And we want people to know what the officer is thinking. People always wonder, why does it take so long an officer to come up to my car? Well, first of all, if you're a good person and you're stopped, you know you're a good person. We don't necessarily know that immediately. We could have just stopped an armed robber, or we could have just stopped a murderer, which has happened in Greenhills recently in the last couple of years. But at any rate, what we do when there's a hesitancy is we're running it through the computer. We're going to make sure there's no wants or warrants. If we get, for example, if somebody, it comes back as armed and dangerous or, violent offender or something, we're going to have a lot different approach than if we just stopped you for running a stop sign. But even if you just run a stop sign, it's still scary. You're worried, what's going to happen to me? Will I be safe? And some people are very, very afraid of the police. So what we want to communicate is, here's what the officer's going to do. Here's why he's going to do it. And although it's a traumatic experience, you're going to get through it. And, everybody wants to be friendly on both sides. So we want to try and get a lot of that information about encounters with the police, about not only what we do, but why we do things.
Do you find that any of your alumni, you've kind of already answered this, become involved with your department in other ways afterwards?
They become our best friends, which is why we want people to sign up, because we get a lot out of this program as well. We meet such wonderful people that sometimes have great histories that they'll share with us. But yes, it just makes us a better police department because our residents get to know us better.
That's fantastic. So let's get to, how do folks find out when the next police academy is, because now they definitely want to do it after watching this.
Well, we don't know yet.
Okay.
Because we're hoping to get at least a half a dozen or so people to sign up. Once we do that, we will individually reach out to them to find out when they're available. We do a lot of our training on Thursdays because we have almost a double shift working that day. So we like to do those on Thursday nights because It doesn't cost us as much. We don't have to have officers there on overtime. So we typically like to do a Thursday evening. We let our last academies decide whether or not they wanted some food at the beginning or whether they wanted to come fed. So, a lot of it is going to be up to them. Once we get a number of people, we'll reach out individually and set the times and the number of sessions. Because we understand it's a busy world. People have so many more commitments now than they used to when, like, I was a kid. It seems like kids are involved in more, and it just seems like people are busier. So we will individualize their experience to make it convenient for them.
So I will leave that with, if you are watching this and you're thinking, this sounds amazing and I definitely want to do this, then don't wait for a flyer that says one is scheduled. Go ahead and make sure they have your contact info now, because you're waiting for enough people to be interested to get scheduling.
So what we would ask people to do, go to our website, there's a form there, come to our lobby, there's a form in the lobby, or call us, 513-825-2101. We'll sign you up and get you scheduled. And I know Sergeant Holbrook is anxious to tell you, as he already mentioned in the other program, he's got a winter program, which is the defensive tactics program. He makes us go through all of this. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. So he's an absolute natural teacher. So it's another fun program. And again, it's a very scary world out there. And it's nice to have a heads up as to how you can keep yourself protected. And we don't have a date set for that one yet either. When Sergeant Holbrook gets a number of people together to do that, he will coordinate and set up the dates. And typically we do that on a Saturday afternoon, and that seems to work well. But I don't think he mentioned this in the last program, so this is news. We got, I think, was it 3 or 4 5-star reviews on Google from our last programs.
That is correct.
I mean, hey, we're on, GPD is on Google now with 5-star
Right.
reviews.
Let's make sure we talk about that self-defense class again, because we mentioned it briefly, but it's a very hands-on way for residents to learn some things and enjoy the afternoon. And tell us a little bit about that and your background in teaching it.
So I have a background a little bit of everything. I've boxed before, a little bit of mixed martial arts, a little bit of jiu-jitsu. I have graciously, Chief Furtleman and Lieutenant Warren have sent me to certain defense classes for defensive tactics. That's where I got certified in a week-long course. Also was able to go to an extra course called Guard. It was really, really great in showing how to use jiu-jitsu to take control of subjects. But anyhow, what I do is I take my entire background and I put that together and put a curriculum together for the public, the general public. Because although we would train kind of the same, I train our officers a little bit differently than I would train the general public. It's a great class. It's usually about 2 to 3 hours, really depending on the class participation. Usually they're in it and ready to roll around. I will say it's participate at your own pace. So it's not required. If you want to show up and you want to do some techniques and you don't want to do others, you can sit those out. But what I do is that we have an open discussion. Of course, we talk about a lot of things that involve around self-defense, even certain carry items like pepper spray and things like that and the benefits of that. But we also do a large hands-on portion. Teach you how to build a foundational base, how to strike if need be, how to defend the most common strikes that are found, amongst any sort of street fights, we'll say. How to protect yourself if you're on the ground against an upright attacker. There's a lot of things, and that's just really just a snippet of what I teach. The more hands-on you are with it, the more techniques you'll learn. And it's simple stuff that you can take home and practice with, your significant other, brother, sister, cousins, whoever. And it'll really, really improve your ability to defend yourself.
So let me ask you the same question. What age groups is this aimed at?
So this right now is aimed at 16 and above. Between the ages of 16 and 18, of course, we'll need a parental signature. There is a waiver to sign, of course, because it is hands-on. I haven't had enough interest in anybody younger than 16 at this point. Of course, that's something I could talk with Chief and Lieutenant Ward about to see if that's something, maybe a youth self-defense class we could get started. But as of right now, it's really 16 and above, all ages above 16.
Okay, that's great. So I want to thank you all for coming in. We have met the very newest officer to come to the department. We've talked about the Citizens Academy program, and make sure you don't wait to let them know you're interested in that, because they will be collecting a group. And we also talked about the self-defense class. And again, don't wait, because when there's enough people, then there can be a group going for that. Is there anything else that we should make sure we cover?
Absolutely. We'll be covering some other programs next year as well. And the best advice that I could give to anybody that's interested to participate in some of these fun events is to check our Facebook page and to check our webpage, greenhillspd.org. We'll be putting all of that information up there. We put a monthly update of everything that we do at Greenhills PD right at the top of our webpage. But we'll also be posting some of the things we'll be doing after the weather gets a little warmer. We'll be doing game time with GPD again. That was a first time for us last year, and it was a lot of fun. We did everything from kickball to basketball to board games, and there were things for all ages. And what I was struck by, I forget how many pizzas I initially ordered, 5 or 6. We had to send an officer out for about 4 more because kids were hungry after all of that activity. So we had a lot of pizza that day. We're going to be doing our managers' park talks again, and our manager, Yvonne Kovac, will be scheduling those, but officers will be involved in that. We found that pizza works well on that. When we have National Night Out or in a night close to that, depending on when that is next year, we'll be doing cooking with the cops. So we'll be grilling hamburgers and hot dogs, and that's always fun. So we've got a lot of activities. Have I forgotten any, Carl?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so we'll be doing a lot of those fun things, and just watch our website or our Facebook page, and we'll keep you posted.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time. You always are willing to come in here and take some time and make sure that we can connect with the residents and let them know who you are and what you're doing and how you want to do things with them. So.
We work with the best residents ever, so we're always happy to offer them programs. They help us out probably as much as we can help them out, so it's a great two-way relationship.
And thank you for watching Talking with Greenhills. That means you want to make sure you're informed about what's happening in the village, and we'll see you next time.